And welcome to our session today on a highly resilient tax platform with Google Cloud. My name is Adam Axelrod. I'm a director of engineering here at Avalara, leading our Edge for AvaTax system, which is our multi-cloud, multi-region deployment of our core calculations engine. And today I'm very excited to introduce Bruce Maxfield from Google Cloud. He's an application modernization specialist who's been a great partner with us at Avalara in bringing the calculation engine into Google Cloud. And before I introduce Bruce, just want to let anybody know, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as we are able to after this session. With that, I'd like to introduce Bruce. Hey, Bruce, how are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bruce Maxfield with Google Cloud. As Adam mentioned, I'm an application modernization specialist. I work with customers like Avalara to help them innovate on top of Google Cloud, adhering to best practices and building, secure foundations on which to serve their products to customers like yourselves. I've been with Google for about 4 years, and when I got the opportunity to work with Avalara, it really resonated because before joining Google, I was chief cloud architect at Kroger and actually had worked on their e-commerce platform for part of that time. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Adam.
Well, thanks, Bruce. And it has been a true pleasure working with you and the Google team throughout this journey. To kind of set the stage, I would like to walk us through our journey. And at the beginning of our journey, we had some core requirements from our side, some very ambitious and challenging goals to take our core calculation engine, which was previously just deployed into a single cloud provider. And we endeavored to make it multi-cloud and embracing our hybrid cloud strategy to expand to be a part of every transaction globally. And in doing so, we chose Google Cloud as our second cloud provider to endeavor in. And in doing so, we had several customers who requested being deployment in Google Cloud to minimize latency for them, which is always core to the calculation experience for our customers. And also building resiliency. As we went through this journey, building a hybrid cloud solution enables us to have higher levels of resiliency in delivering our core services to our core customers. And so that started our journey here, Bruce. And from your side, tell us a little bit about how it started for you.
So for me, my engagement with Avalara actually preceded working with you and the Edge team. This partnership is actually formed over a number of months and now almost, getting closer to 2 years. And the beginning of it all actually was myself and another set of Googlers working with your architects, your security office, the network engineers, the DevOps, the site reliability engineers to build out the foundation that would become the basis from which to run the Edge product when we did finally engage with you. And a lot of that actually had to do with building those solid foundations so that everything was secure and that all those performance and availability requirements could be, built on top of when we worked with you and the Edge. And that entire process took a few weeks because it is a multi-cloud environment that we were building out. So we actually had to make sure that when things needed to go back and forth between the clouds, that all of that was quite capable. That is something that Google embraces. We embrace open source, and part of that actually was choosing the compute platform that Avalara would make use of, which turned out to be Kubernetes, because that would give them multi-cloud portability across multiple clouds, and GKE in particular. And it was laying down that GKE foundation that you were then the first customer running your product on, which at that point, I think I'll turn it back over to you and you can talk about that experience.
Well, thanks, Bruce. And you're absolutely right. And all that foundational work that you did with our teams here and bringing in some of the specialists from your side really did enable us to accelerate. I remember when we took our core platform, which was already deployed on Kubernetes in a different cloud provider, and we productized it to deploy onto Google Cloud. And we were able to do it within a matter of just a couple weeks, something that far exceeded our expectations. We were able to deploy our platform and start testing for scale. And, identify all the challenges technically that we needed to solve to make it work reliably. And as we started to do that, your team was very supportive of us. I think this was a key success in this journey, has been how you've enabled us to tune our application and our use of the Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, to be able to deliver the highest performance possible to our customers eventually. And one good example of that was, as we were deploying our application, having mission critical and low latency needs, we needed to make sure that we could deploy changes to our application without any impact to our customers. And we had to do that in as conservative a fashion as possible to ensure that there was no impact on latency. Even a few milliseconds is noticeable to our customers. And we worked closely with your team in using your blue-green deployment, which at the time was a beta feature in Google Cloud. And work closely with your team to help tune and deploy our application so that we can do rolling software updates with ease, without impact. And I can safely say, after having deployed the platform and now running for a year, we have not had any major outage because of the investment and time that we did upfront in those early phases. And it really helped accelerate and excite us that our goal and the challenge that we had set forth for us from a business and engineering perspective really started to materialize. And then I'll take that to the next step. As we started to build confidence in using Google Cloud and load testing our application, we actually, in parallel, were awarded a contract from a very key customer of ours, a very large customer who wanted to be able to deploy their application in Google Cloud in a specific region in the United States, and co-tenanted with our Calc engine. And because we had proven this, we had proved the portability of the product and the ease in deploying into Google Cloud, we were able to build that solution and deploy it pretty quickly for that customer. And we started a beta test with that customer, and the first words out of the customer's mouth was, "Wow, this is super performant." And we've been off and running since then. And I'll turn it over to you, Bruce, to talk a little about your experience during that kind of go live phase, which I know was an exciting time for you as well.
It was, and having been a customer of partners like Google for the majority of my career, those go to production, those beta and production moments. I have a lot of sympathy for my customers when they're going through that phase, because that's when the rubber does meet the road. That's where all that upfront investment that we spent, doing all that detailed design and implementation, and the trade-off analysis between whether we'd use one ingress controller or another, and which one would be most performant, given the transaction volumes, and how the cluster would scale to meet demands while at the same time being cost efficient to meet your goals as well. That I think was the testament to the amount of collaboration and the detail of the different elements of the Edge team working in collaboration with the variety of Google experts and specialists like myself, working out the kinks. Because, this partnership, like earlier on I mentioned, it's kind of, it takes time to form. I think that phase right there was where it actually solidified the most. And by that, I mean, partnerships are tested, not when things are going well, but when there are challenges, when things don't always fit together perfectly, and you're trying to figure out what is the best way to make things work. And, I know the blue-green was early in preview, and there were some rough edges, and we had to spend a little bit of time figuring out exactly how to tune things in to make it work just the way you wanted. And quite frankly, you were probably one of the most demanding customers in that respect. So I think it went a long way to help myself and the product teams at Google to understand your requirements, and that benefits all the rest of our customers down the line. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, and again, I can't stress the success of that partnership enough. And as we moved into that beta phase with the customer, we were asked and to do a joint beta test with the customer and support thousands of transactions per second over a very sustained period. And I remember in one of our first tests with the customer, we did a 2,000 transaction per second test, sustained for over 24 hours straight, continuous. And then we did varying degrees of load for an additional 30 days on top of that to kind of simulate what their production traffic would actually look like. And it was the most seamless and uneventful, in a positive way, experience, because there were absolutely no issues. The customer who was, impressed from the beginning and our ability to be versatile in how we deployed the product, was now seeing the benefits of that and seeing that it actually works and it could scale. They were seeing very, very high performance on their side as well, because we were co-tenanted in similar data centers, so you didn't have a lot of network hops to have to traverse. And you're getting the full benefit of the performance of our industry leading determinations engine. And from that point on, we basically went live almost immediately, based on the confidence that we were able to prove working with this core customer. And that led right into our core holiday season, which is, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, where we see the highest volumes of traffic during the year, a lot of spikes as those flash sales come up. And we went through that entire period without a glitch. And since then, we've been off and running. We've done over 1.5 billion transactions over total volume with that particular customer, along with other customers we've onboarded since then. And so that's been a very successful endeavor as we, on the tail end of that experience towards going live. And I know we followed up after that, because the next step was then to say, okay, now we want to start onboarding more customers, and we actually want to endeavor into other regions. And so talk a little bit about how that experience was for you when we came to you and said, hey, we actually want to open up other regions where we want to deploy the same product and add more tenants to the same system that we've proven very successful so far.
Well, I think, Black Friday and Cyber Monday was kind of like the acid test, right? I mean, it is where, like, onboarding and going production is one thing. Black Friday, Cyber Monday is definitely the acid test. And, going into that, like, that was the next leg in the partnership from my perspective, in that brought in our technical account manager and our Black Friday, Cyber Monday team, where we worked closely with you to make sure that you would have the proper compute capacity in place in the right region, in the right zone at the right time, so that you would never experience any issues with stockouts or things like that, where you could not get the resources needed to serve your customers. And I think that was actually, a good stepping stone towards the geographic expansion, that we're on to now. And then I think this is where all these investments and all the time that we've spent, like with the foundation and with you on the design of the application, running inside of the cluster, running inside of a region, and automating all of that using things like Terraform, so that things can be done predictably and repeatedly, paid off. Because, from what I've observed, you've been able to roll that out into a separate region. You've been able to expand that footprint, and you've begun to bring customers on board that footprint, and be able to serve them with, without much challenge, which is the way it was intended to be. And we had that as the goal going in, and it's great to realize that is now seeing fruition.
Absolutely. And, I don't want to shortchange this as well. I know we focused a lot on Kubernetes, but there are plenty of other services and pieces of the puzzle that we leverage with Google Cloud. A lot of the networking layer, the database, the caching layer, integration across VPCs or virtual private clouds, networking stacks, to be able to still, maintain that high level performance and low latency that we wanted to deliver as we add more services to the mix, has been phenomenal. And I'll also add there that, moving into another region really is the start of our journey to embrace this global strategy. And now that we are no longer a novice user, customer of Google Cloud, I feel like we've graduated to the next level.
Definitely have graduated, Adam.
Definitely graduated. And we're now in two solid data centers throughout the United States, and growing, and we're starting to onboard more customers, and this is now part of our core AvaTax fabric as we continue to roll out new customers and new locations around the globe, which is enabling us to have really a no single point of failure strategy to our solution, our SaaS product. So it doesn't matter what region, what cloud provider, whatever's going on, we always have a reliable, highly available alternative location where we can deploy our software to, that enables us to build the best confidence and ultimately deliver the best solution overall. And at the same time, bringing the best performance to our customers who, the closer we can deploy our product to the source of the transaction, the more power they're going to be able to get out of this integration, and which is ultimately the true asset test overall. So Bruce, that has been a continuing great journey, and we look forward to the next big steps as we continue to expand and work closely and partner with Google on that. Bruce, we talked a lot about this journey, and I just wanted to hear from your side what you thought was maybe one of the most memorable moments. And I'll be more than happy to share ours as well.
There's not a single memorable moment that kind of sticks out in my mind. Instead, what's memorable to me is the level of collaboration. Partnerships, it's about being able to communicate. It's being able to understand, where the other party is coming from, understanding their needs, and then trying your best to deliver on those needs. And I think that, sometimes that is where the crux of the success comes from, is good, sound communication, alignment on what needs to be done, and then how to get it done, and then execution. And I think that when I look back through the months of time and the journey that we've been on from start to finish, each of the teams that I've worked with at Avalara have been just, stellar technical people with great innovative ideas. And they've been open-minded because you came from one cloud and you came to Google. And I know when I joined Kroger and they said we're going to do GCP, and I had been previously on AWS for 7 years, my initial thought was how different could it be? And then when I got on GCP, I was like, it's really different. And I was like, I have to be, open-minded about new ways of doing things. And, that was sometimes conversations that were going on in this relationship about, like, I realize it worked well over there, but there's a better way of doing it in Google Cloud. And your team always embraced that. And I think that underpins the success of the relationship. And, I think that's going to pay huge dividends going forward.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And likewise with your team, we really appreciated all the technical prowess at Google and all the teams you're able to bring in. I think from my side, one of the most memorable and important parts in the success story here was I appreciated how your team was able to go broad and go deep. Broad, you were able to come to us and strategically say, just like you mentioned, okay, moving from one cloud provider to another, here's are some of the macro capabilities and areas that you should focus on, and stitching that journey together for us, especially upfront. But then you were also able to be very tactical with us, and that's not true of a lot of third-party vendors. Sometimes they give you the big picture ticket items, and then they kind of walk away. Well, you guys did not. And as we were, doing this integration and building the solution, you were able to, and your team was able to kind of put aside some of the high level stuff and dive deep and say, okay, here's exactly where we think the problem may be, and let's solve this together. And I really appreciated that. And it helped us understand even how our applications work in that environment. And from whether it was networking, to rollout strategy, to capacity planning, to scaling, or just to learning how the idiosyncrasies to scheduling these applications and orchestration work was key. And so I really appreciated that. We would not have been able to have the accelerated success we had in delivering the solution had we not been able to become, be more, support us in being more tactical when we needed it. And then at that point, it was really just, let it run. And as you mentioned, we went through a very high peak period during the holiday season last year. And ever since then, it's just been humming along, knock on wood, very good. And we look forward to growing with you. So it's been an outstanding engagement and partnership. And really, thank you very much for this. It's been a really important part of our journey in expanding globally and being a hybrid cloud provider.
And you've been a great customer, and I love working with you and your team, and look forward to continuing to do so for the foreseeable future as we extend the journey on.
Absolutely. And look forward to maybe talking to you next year at Next when we can talk about some of the other great advancements as we continue to expand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Thank you.